Have you ever regretted anything in your life? I believe that everyone has their own regret. Some are able to fix it, some aren't so lucky. Most people need to live with that regret for the rest of their lives. Dark. Hi, my name is Asha Blesius. I'm 11 years old from SK Popok. My school code is XVA 5106. The book that I'll share with you today is entitled A Lesson Learned Too Late by Carissa Liss, published by Chirpdick Publications in 2008. I want to recommend this book for medium to advanced readers. The language used in this book is a bit difficult. It has a lot of advanced and seldom heard words. However, it provides us with 6 pages of glossary words to help us to understand the terms. So, this book may help us to understand our vocabulary better. This book has 46 pages with a few pictures in it. Let's dig into the story. This is a story about Juan, a teenager who had lost both his parents at a young age. Juan lives with his only grandfather, Stuart. Stuart is torn between trying to protect his grandson from the world and giving him the happiness as a teenager. Juan, on the other hand, is struggling with his inner self, between trying to behave as a grandson or being accepted by his group. His grandfather keeps on warning him not to get near the dropout kids. But since Juan is a bright student, he gets bored and happens to meet Alec and the rest of the dropout kids in his village. They are some of the most problematic kids in town. They steal things, loiter around, smoke, and got into trouble with the police. This is the turning point in the story. Alec brings Juan to his group, and the group leader offers Juan a cigarette. Juan is reluctant at first as his grandfather heeds him not to ever smoke. But his ego made him forget about his grandfather's warning. Juan feels proud that he was able to be accepted by his group and not being called a wimp as referred by Henry. They even give him a box of cigarettes. When Juan came home, he was caught and slapped by his grandfather. Juan argued in defense, claiming that being slapped proved his own lack of agency. Juan ran away and did not return home that night. He did not know that his grandfather was terminally ill. Stuart went to go find his grandson, Juan, to tell him his life lesson before he dies. Unfortunately, he fainted before he managed to do so and was rushed to the hospital. Thankfully, their neighbor found Juan and told him about his grandfather's condition. In the hospital, Stuart told Juan about his regret of not listening to his father's advice not to ever smoke when he was a teenager, which costed him his life. Juan promised his grandfather that he would never touch a single cigarette in his life ever again. The end. So, my dear friends, this book was and is a very touching story, rich with moral lesson. Firstly, we should always listen to our family's advice because they have been on the long road before us. We might not understand it at first, but nonetheless, we should never let our innocence to cause us to regret something in the future. Secondly, we should always be proud of ourselves. There's no need for us to do something that is beyond our boundaries just to fit in with others. We need to remember that a true friend will always accept us for who we are. Other than that, ego is our biggest enemy. Never let our pride ruin our life just like Juan's ego. Though Juan knows it's not right, His ego still encouraged him to smoke even though he couldn't handle it. And lastly, we should always control our emotions. Juan is a good boy. However, he lost his temper and it caused him a lifetime of regret. Juan is lucky enough that he managed to see his grandfather before it was too late. Not everyone gets to have a happy ending like this. So, isn't reading an enjoyable hobby? It's definitely a healthier activity to smoking. We can always learn something from a book or two. Because reading can lead us to a world of knowledge and fantasy. That's why I like reading. So put down those sticks and pick up a book. It might just save your life. Thank you.